I have one.
Thank
No, no, but that'd be great.
Good morning, everyone. I think we'll go ahead and get started. I'm Juliana, I'm a CASB director here in Region 6. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Hopefully you've come to learn about maximizing staff retention through wellness. If you're interested in another one, you will need to go to a different room. So up here we have Trent. I didn't ask how to pronounce the last name.
Kerr.
Kerr, very straightforward. Trent Kerr and Brian Baker. They're going to give us some information again on maximizing your staff retention. So I'm just going to let them do any introductions they feel are necessary to get started. We hope to have surveys, and so I'm going to go check on that. If you see me shuffling paper later, that's what that's about. Otherwise, I'm going to see if it's on the app. So thanks so much for coming. Take it away, John.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this is going to be fully interactive. We're going to do some push-ups, sit-ups, squats. So make sure we're ready to go right there. Maybe take off those jackets and get comfortable.
Yeah, early morning stuff.
Yeah, no, we're not. I'm Trent Kerr. I'm the superintendent at Wiggins School District. And this is Brian Baker. Go ahead.
I'm Brian Baker. I actually used to be a school board member for the school district. I've been helping with the high school volleyball for the last 4 years, and then I'm a Denver fireman. So I live in Wiggins. That's how Trent and I have hooked up over the past few years.
So Brian used to own a CrossFit gym in town. That's kind of how this all got started. And if you look at the picture, this is a group that we had after we did a competition. I think, yeah, it was Memorial Day Murph, I believe. And in this picture, this is kind of where it all started. There are 8 staff members in this picture right here, including myself and my wife. She's a staff member as well. She's in charge of our food service. So the whole wellness piece, we're going to get her rolling on that here pretty quick. But this is just kind of a picture of where we began and what's been going on with us since. So background again, Trent Kerr, I'm the superintendent at Wiggins. I have an exercise and sports psychology, sports physiology degree from CSU. And then I've got my CrossFit Level 1 certification, Bigger, Faster, Stronger certification. And then I've been a health and wellness kind of coach in our school, and then just physical fitness as well.
Like Dr. Trent Kerr said originally, I owned a CrossFit gym, my wife and I, for eight years in the town of Wiggins, so not very big at all, but it really helped build our community there. We had a bunch of people from the school district at the time that were members of that gym. With that CrossFit gym, I got my CrossFit Level 1 and Level 2 certification. Like I said, I've been a fireman for 24 years. I'm with the Denver Fire Department. I also have my peer fitness training license. So go through with the fire department and help train those firemen that feel like their physical fitness isn't up to par, and we get them to where they are confident. So, and that's where I started with fitness. I joined the fire department at a young age and learned very quickly that not only my physical fitness was important to my well-being as a fireman, but it was to the person sitting right next to me when we went into fires, because I knew I wanted to be able to look at their family members if something went wrong and said I gave everything I got. I didn't want to ever let that person down. So that's when physical fitness became such a huge part, because I knew in my line of work, lives are well on the line, whether it be myself, my partner, or civilians.
And really, we didn't see that really in education for a while. I know I didn't do that with our staff when I became superintendent. It was something that I held for myself, but I didn't really push on our staff. But when COVID hit, Brian and I really sat down and started talking about, well, the gyms all kind of shut down, right? So we started an online program where we would program different workouts for our staff, but we'd also do it for anybody in the community that wanted it. We would go online and we'd do it live, and it was pretty fun. But
yeah, it was rudimentary. I mean, it was Facebook Live at a certain time. Either Trent or I would jump on, and
we'd get in trouble for having music in the background.
Yeah, so we'd
all
be
those type
muted
of
all
things.
the time.
But we found as we came back from COVID, the staff was just in disarray. And I think most of us have seen that from our staffs right when we came back from the shutdowns. The over-politicization of schools has led to high anxiety. I think, America is looking at education right now, and teachers don't feel supported. And we saw that really coming back out of COVID. So that first year when we came back, I saw so much anxiety in our staff. So, and they were not healthy in any shape or form, mentally, physically, and everything they did was on the kids. So they were taking on student mental health, I think, as well as their own, right? They had to carry the burden of catching students up. I think we've all talked about catching students up, right? Which is ridiculous. I don't know how that became, but it's something that the teachers took on, and taking on the problems of the students. When students came back, some of the stories that you'd hear that went on at their homes, not eating, abuse, just different things like that. Teachers took on that ownership. I think that's what they do. So, and we all know, stress in teachers is definitely going to correlate to your students. So this is something that we really wanted to focus on and turn around for our staff.
And I think when COVID hit is when Trent and I really started talking about kind of the similarities between the firehouse and the schoolhouse, right? Talked about we ate together, we spent time together in the firehouse, but we also worked out together, and it formed a bond between our crews, and it formed more of a community. So that's where we're like, hey man, I don't think we're so different.
Right.
I think we can bring this together and kind of do the same thing in the school district, and we were able to implement something that's been fairly successful. I'm glad that we get to be here today and kind of share that with all of you guys.
So one of the things that we do at the beginning of the year with our staff, we kind of do a finger down challenge. So if you guys want to, you can do it mentally, or you can put up your fingers. We can go a little spirit finger right here and get them up. This is all the interaction you have to do. This is it. I promise.
No push
Get
no
those
squats.
right. Here we go. You don't have to wiggle them though, because that's just going to get tired. So I guess, we got 10 fingers up. We've got 10 questions right here. So chronic stress. How many of you feel this and feel like your staff feels this? I know with me, I don't right now, but there are times throughout the year I get an eye twitch, right? It just starts twitching for that. The stress level comes up. I've had heart palpitations when I was principal. Oh man, I think my second year as principal, it was rough, but kind of came out of that. Trouble sleeping. Brian never sleeps.
Yeah, I have trouble sleeping. Just coming into this presentation, the last 2 days have been rough. So yeah, that's the first thing that goes for me. It's highly stressful situations. My sleep goes to crap. So.
And then a weak immune system. So yep. I'm right here. I'm putting that finger down. So I'm at 9. Frequent long hours. So we know in education what everybody does, right? We do, but not everybody out there does. We think that, teachers just work 8 months out of the year, and then they're at the school at 8 and they leave at 3:30. But we all know that's not the case. So teachers get there. I know in our school, teachers usually get there around 7:20. Making sure they're there to greet the students, and then they teach. Then after school, they are tutoring until 5, or they're coaching a sport. In small schools, I think that's really what you're doing everything, or you're in charge of concession stand, or you have a TPO meeting, just all the things that go with it, or you're grading papers. How many of you are an English teacher or have been an English teacher? That's rough. The amount of papers that you have to grade and do, that's always so doing the reports. But so frequenting long hours, I think we're all there, right? All right, so now we're down to 8. Neglect physical health. This is a big one. This is something I don't lose my finger on because I've made this a priority for me through nutrition and exercise. So this is really big, and this is where we've kind of gone with our staff of really trying to make sure that this finger stays up with all of our staff members.
I think that's the easiest one to neglect because you run into some time where you have a lack of time, you have a lack of planning, not able to plan meals, and not able to take time for yourself. So neglecting physical health is easy to do.
And okay, so imagine most of us are parents in here too, with your kids in sports, drama, gymnastics, whatever it may be, running them everywhere. It's easy to just grab a meal at Burger King, right, or Subway. So just making sure that our nutrition is on point. Rarely unplug. I know with me this morning, first thing I did, woke up, what did I do? Went right to my phone, started looking at emails. Okay, what do we have going on? And text messages started coming in about the morning, what's going on at school. the issues that are happening. So rarely do you unplug grading papers. So again, that's another finger. So down to 7, right? Where are you guys at? Anybody still at 10?
It doesn't look like it.
No, okay, all right.
Looks like we're dropping fingers.
How many of you are emotionally drained? One of the big things with our students is taking on that student struggle, and something that really we need to be cognizant about and trying not to take that on. Don't take on that ownership. Very much easier said than done, right? As I become superintendent, it's less than what it used to be, but as a teacher and then as a principal, man, it's the stories again that you'd hear, you can't help but take that on and live that with that
And
child.
from an outside view, since I don't work in the school district, only coach, but I think this one's kind of like a seasonal thing. It's the timing of the year, right? I've seen it with a lot of our coaches that are teachers as well. It's is it regional time? Is it tournament time? State playoffs, parent-teacher conferences, end of the semester? That's when it seems to be like stress levels are high.
Holiday season.
Holiday season, when they're trying to wrap things up, and then working hours are just naturally long. So.
And I think the weather changed, right? And as we go to daylight savings time, it's dark when you get to work. It's dark when you leave work. It just changes your whole mental aspect. Struggle to set boundaries. This is something that I definitely struggle with. One of the things that I've tried to do, is always had the open door policy, always open, come in whenever. Kind of had to shift that a little bit to, it's not an open door, but the door is open. So if I'm busy, if I have things going on, you have to respect that. You have to understand that. And that's kind of a boundary that I've had to set for staff members and for students both alike. And I think that our teachers really have a hard time doing that. It's something to try to get them to understand. Fail to practice stress management. Like in here, how many of you have a hobby? Are you able to have a hobby? Or are you so busy with everything else you have in your life? So I saw 2 hands go up.
Yeah, I didn't see
that. Was it?
I didn't
3, 4.
Okay,
there we get it up. So you have that something for yourself. For me, it's really working out and then researching different things about mental health and physical wellness. One of the things that I'm pretty decent at is the physical wellness, but I'm not so good at the mental health issue. And that's something that I'm practicing and trying to really push with our staff. Do you have anything there?
No, I mean, just by a raise of hand, who sets time aside for like self-care, hobbies, things like that?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's like 50% probably.
Hey,
yeah,
that's coming around though.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be like nobody.
Yeah.
And then withdraw from social settings. I've done this through the years. Do you avoid going to the store? I need to pick up something at the store after school. I know that between 4 and 5:30, that place is going to be packed and I'm going to get nothing but questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't go. I stay away, and then 5:30, 6 o'clock comes around. Now I'll run to the store and grab whatever we need. Going to church. I have not gone to church. I stopped going to church in Wiggins at the Catholic church that I used to attend because it's all we would do before church. It was just all about questions about Wiggins, what's going on, and then after church the same way. So I've changed where I go, but I don't go there anymore, which is kind of sad. It was fun being part of that community, but it just got to the point where I couldn't do it.
It's kind of setting boundaries.
It is set boundaries.
Yeah.
And then we know living paycheck to paycheck, right? That is probably, and especially this time of year, one of the most stressful things for our staffs. So I think that finger just goes down. It's just automatic. And then an accountability buddy. This is something that we've really pushed in. Do you have somebody that's trusted, that's supportive, somebody that's that confident that you can do things together? All right. So let's see where we're at. I'm at 6 in my head. Anybody less than 6? Nobody? You
yeah,
are?
So we got a couple. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody over 6? Anybody at 10? Yeah? Good job.
Yeah, that's
Where were
awesome.
you at? 7? Good work. Good work. So you take care of yourself pretty good. That's a good job. If we can get to that number, I think we're doing all right. One of the things we kind of stress with our staff is you have to be selfish to be selfless. You have to take care of yourself in order to take care of others. I was on a flight to Arizona over Thanksgiving, and they were going through the whole spiel, right? And they said, well, if the oxygen masks come down and we need them, make sure you put yours on before you put it on your child or anyone else. And I've always thought in my head, are you kidding me? I'm going to get my kid first, then I'll do myself. Well, then I kind of thought back, Well, no, you got to take care of yourself first. You can't, oxygen level's gone, you're gone, now your kid's gone, right? So you got to make sure you take care of yourself first, then you can take care of others.
Except where it scars your kid, because then your kid makes it and is like, I can't believe my dad put his oxygen mask on before mine. So then it's a kind of a vicious circle. But I think with that selfish before selfless is tough in this this job, right? I mean, we got teachers, firemen, policemen, military, nurses. They're all kind of in the same group. I think they're there to be selfless, right? They're there because they are selfless. So teaching them or getting them to be selfish is kind of an uphill battle sometimes because it's just not in their being. It's not in their makeup. So that's what we kind of try to fight with this.
Yeah, you definitely didn't get into this profession for that. There's kind of the methodology that we've done in Wiggins. We've changed to a 4-day week. We do have one Monday a month for teacher PD. We do curriculum, grade meetings, all those type of things that we have. Weekly meetings during scheduled workday. So we have meetings on Wednesday before school for the secondary because of all the coaching that they do in the afternoon. And we make sure that they're only 20 minutes. So we're in there quick. We get everything we need to talk about done, and then they're out. And then after school for elementary, we try to stay 20 minutes, but sometimes elementary teachers like to talk, and they sometimes go over. But we really try to stay with that 20 minutes because we want to value our teachers' time. We utilize face-to-face conversations and emails to relay all of our information. We really try to utilize that so we are not taking up any other time than needed. We allow staff to take needed breaks. Just last week, we had a preschool teacher that was having a really, really rough morning, and she was on the track just south of the school, and she took 2 laps. She came back, and she was good to go. But we have that trust with one another and with our staff that we know that that's okay. That's okay. Her mother-in-law actually teaches in the secondary and saw her out for the walk and called her up right away. Like, you okay? Everything all right? So it's neat to have that, just those relationships right now.
Well, and that goes back to your accountability, buddy, checking in with each other, holding people accountable for things, but it's also being able to recognize, like, I think something's going on with Trent. Hey, man, do you need some time? Take a couple laps. I got you, right? So it's accountability, buddy. It goes both ways. Holds you accountable, but also kind of knows when you need that little bit of help and gives it to you.
And then we do a staff wellness program. So we talk about nutrition. So we have gym access. So we have a pretty decent gym in our school, and teachers can go in there during their plan time, after school, before school, and we have competitions kind of set up between the staff, which is really neat. And Brian and I, we program workout programs for them. So we have 5 different programs that the teachers can choose from. And then we have challenges that we go through, like I talked about. And then what you get if you do this right now with our insurance, we have $500 off your deductible. But we're looking at changing that forward and going through maybe doing the Fitbits, as we've talked about earlier. And we've talked about doing gift cards to maybe Shills, Dick's, just things like that, because we talk to our staff, and most of the females in the district, they're like, love the $500 off. But the males, like, I don't ever go to the doctor. That $500 doesn't do anything for me. So we're trying to figure out different ways to support and to kind of entice people to do this. And then we do social emotional support through our insurance as well. And I imagine everybody's insurance company has that now, where you dial a doc, all those type of things that we have.
And what I think is cool is, like, these challenges started off really, really small. Like, they began with kind of just steps per day. Everybody kind of had a pedometer. Everybody wanted to have the biggest steps per day. They would have a little bit of time in their class. The students were working on something. You would just see them on the cameras just doing laps in their classrooms, trying to win the steps. And this has gone all the way up to getting a dunk tape on site, having people go out, get dunked in the dunk tape to get their accurate body fat percent measurements, then having a nutrition and physical challenge that has lasted 12 weeks, all the way to see who could lose the biggest percentage of body weight. So these things can start super small and get as grand and grandiose as you want, and as much as the people really are buying in at the time. So it's really been kind of cool to see how it's all transformed.
And our board president and his wife won that one.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it. they crushed it. Mm-hmm. So here's kind of our staff wellness program. We go through this at the beginning of the year. Spiritual self, we go through emotional self, intellectual self, and physical self. And then what we do is kind of tie this all back into our work self. And it's gone really well the last We are in our 3rd year right now of doing this. So we're kind of seeing the benefits really pay off right now. So spiritual self, what we talk about is spiritual practices, right? Prayer, meditation. It's going to look different for everybody. We don't push going to church. We don't push prayer, but what works for you? And most of our staff members, they do. They're fairly religious. So it's something that each one of them kind of takes on and really thinks about and guides them.
And this is just basically taking time for yourself, right? Where we can concentrate, we can reflect on ourselves. Some do a spiritual self. Like I know when Trent comes in, he comes in the gym very early every morning, and he takes that time from his house to the gym to do a daily devotional type thing over an app.
You guys have the Bible in a Year podcast? I think it's great. So it's great right now during the holiday season, especially the stories that we're going through.
But this is honestly just setting some time aside, whether it be meditation, religious breathing. It's just setting some time aside to reflect, see what's going on with ourselves, a little check-in with the man upstairs, kind of that kind of thing. But this is where we're becoming our selfish self, right? Just taking a little bit of time.
And I think one thing through the last 3 years through COVID is we kind of lost a sense of who we are, right? We're getting pushed politically, both directions, different things going on, TikTok, all those things. And again, it's okay to be you, your authentic self. Find your authentic self. You don't have to agree with the masses. You don't have to pick a fight with your neighbor because you disagree with them. But just be comfortable with who you are. We always stress this with the kids, right? But it's easy for us to stray down those lines as well. So find out who you are and find your passion. Emotional self. And you look at the eggs, I think we all go through this about every day. We see all those faces on ourselves. And I'm usually the one on the very far right that has no idea what's going on, kind of the Charlie Brown guy. So emotional self, being in tune with what influences your emotions, processing the ability to express emotions in a constructive way. So this whole thing of reframing a situation, right? So you have to know your emotions during the day. I know me. I know what I have. In the morning is when I'm best. I get up, I work out. I think that gets me kind of fueled, ready to go, makes my mind right. And then that sets me up to be in a positive state for the rest of the day.
I wake up. I do not work out in the morning. I have a cup of coffee, and I know that's going to set me up to have a positive attitude throughout the day. But this is a lot of us wear our emotions on our sleeve, and this kind of comes back to that teacher that needed to take a couple laps during the day, right? And it's being able to know our emotions and how to deal with them and what we need to do. But it's also being able to see that reflecting off of somebody else and be like, hey, let's take a little time out here, right? So it's very important. How do we deal with it ourselves and how do we deal with others?
So Brian and I have had this conversation quite a bit. I am not very good at sensitivity to self and others. I never have been. So all of this is a practice, right? It's not going to be perfect. It's a practice. And he's really good at it.
Everything's a practice.
So he's going to say, you'll get better, bud. Just keep doing it. Keep trying.
Yeah, hang in there. It's like the little cat from the tree in the poster, right? Hang in there. It's going to get better.
So really trying to, and I think we all know as leaders, you have to, right? You have to show empathy towards others. You have to make sure that what they are going through, you are sensitive toward and trying to help them through it. And a lot of times it's like, are you serious? That's what you're upset about? They were 3 minutes late from recess. Who cares? But I can't do that. I've got to turn and reframe it to something positive. And I'm trying. Again, it's a practice. And I think all of our staff tries. And we have some that are very good at this. Intellectual self. So the pursuit of being a lifelong learner. And this can be anything. So are you growing every day? Something that we're trying to push. Is that through reading, through studying, discussing, learning a new hobby, as we talked about. I think Brian just kind of did this with your reading.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, and this can be a double-edged sword. I always try to, like, as far as exercise and nutrition and having different goals, I try to dive in and try to get experts' opinions so I can form a better opinion and a better maybe training plan for myself when I'm trying to chase these goals. A lot of the times, though, I'm like, hey, I'm going to do 50 pages a day, or I'm going to do a chapter a day, try to get it through a book a week. Well, then it's kind of a negative feedback loop. And now it causes myself stress to try to get growth, right? So now I've kind of backed off of that. I'm like, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to read what I can, but I'm going to try to set myself up for success. So I've had to kind of back off what I used to do because, man, it was like sabotaging my own self-care by adding more stress into my life as far as like 50 pages a day. But yeah, I always try to find something that I'm passionate about and then dive in and then learn more about it. And I think it's helped me throughout the years. So.
In our intellectual self, there's so many intellects, right? And one of them is your emotional intellect. And I think I have Shiloh right here. She was a former student. That's awesome that she came in. But we have a staff member that is great. Very, very intelligent doctor. Absolutely one of the smartest people I've ever met. However, when it comes to emotional intelligence, it's not quite there. He'll send out emails that are very rough around the edges, calling people out. He doesn't realize it. So that's one of the things of trying to do that whole emotional self and understanding who you are and how do you work alongside of others. And he's 55 years old and we're still working on him to do these things. And again, he's great. He's awesome. And he'll even tell you, he's like, yeah, I'm not good at that. And so it's a practice for all of us of what we can do. And one of the big things we preach is, are you a problem starter or a solver? My wife actually worked in probation for many years, and she brought this home to me one time, is vent up. Never vent sideways, never vent down. So as a superintendent of your district, you don't have anybody to vent to. You can go talk to your wife. I think that's about it. Or maybe the school board president or the school board members you can have those conversations with. But that's one thing we really preach with our staff. Let's not hang out outside of our classroom and complain and gripe. If you do have a problem, go to your principal. Go to the assistant principal, whatever that may be. Go to the superintendent, whatever it may be. But really try to do that. And I think that's really helped our staff the last 3 years. And the culture that we have now that we've fostered is amazing. Just I think basically because of that right there.
Well, that's because change can be made at that point, right? You're open in discussions when you're venting up. Change can actually be made where you're venting down or across. That's where you start the problems. That's where the gossip starts.
Yes.
That's where the real issues start. So make sure you're, like you said, a problem solver, not a starter. So.
Can you guys hear Brian in the back?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I couldn't hear you right here. No. So, and then a physical self. And I think this is where the physical self is where we really kind of go with our staff and we've seen the most change. So we tried to get smart with this, right? The core of human experience is your physical self. As the body goes, so goes the mind, right? That's Freud. I didn't invent that, but he said that. And I think that's the same thing that we really try to preach to our staff. So what we do is we talk about nutrition, eating healthy, the whole 80-20 rule, right?
The 80-20 rule, and this is kind of how we try to start everybody off. Just basically 80% of the time, do your best and try to do awesome. 20% of the time, you can fall off. It may not be perfect, but 80% of the time, you're good, right? And as we get better, it's kind of like compounded interest. We're learning at the beginning, 80% of the time, trying to do great. 20% of the time, I know when I first started, that 20% was ugly. Like that cheat meal turned into a cheat day. You know what I mean? And then the next morning, I'm like, well, it's still kind of Sunday, you know? So it was real ugly. But then with like compounded interest and discipline and commitment, that 80% turned into a real sharp 80%, and that 20% now didn't look as bad. It kind of cleaned itself up.
Back a little bit.
Yeah, so 80-20 a year later looks a lot better than the 80-20 before, but like Dr. Kerr said before, this is a practice. Right?
It's a practice. He calls me Dr. Kerr because he knows it irritates me. So it's
he's usually like, you don't have to
me
call me Dr. Kerr, you can just call me Dr. Trench. Like, oh, okay.
So, but then we do through these, we get stamina, endurance, strength, coordination. And I think it all just kind of comes in how you present yourself, how you look, how you feel about yourself. And then as we know, exercise causes mental stimulation. It's a natural mood enhancer. And it helps you with sleep, Brian. May not help you.
Yeah, we're trying. Yep.
But it does most.
It's a practice. It's a practice.
And then all this leads to our work self. Again, when you are a little bit selfish, you're able to focus on being organized. You're going to have more energy because you're eating right. You're getting the proper sleep. You're getting the proper hydration. You're physically fit. You're able to do more things than you would if you weren't. I think, and that all leads to a positive mindset, right? Because it's just all about those little wins every day. Did you win today? You win today. You win tomorrow. They gradually step up. They gradually build on top of each other. Imagine 1,000 days from now, if you keep winning, right? You win every single day. It's going to be a completely different you than what it was today.
What I think's cool, like sometimes, and we've all done this before. We're out for a jog, we're out for a run, we're working out. Our mind's real stimulated. We can get some really cool ideas and creative ideas. I know some people who just wear their earbuds. They don't have music or anything playing, but they have their earbuds in, because when they get those creative ideas or ideas for the classroom, they just say, "Hey Siri, start me a note," and they go ahead and they form those notes while they're working out, because they're in that creative mindset at that point, and they're able to get those notes written down or jotted down while they're still working out. I thought that was really cool.
That is neat. I'd never heard that before, and you told me that a couple days ago, and so I tried it, and the note was terrible. It didn't even say what I said. I looked back at it like, what? That's not what I said. So yeah, I think I was breathing heavy, and it was so I think that's going to take practice as well. And then I think what we've seen is our staff really has become an asset to the mission. Think about, the bison, right? What do they do when a storm comes? They head right into the storm because they're going to get out of it quicker, right? If you stay there and wait for it, it's just going to come and it's going to keep beating you. But we head through it, we head towards it, and we've seen that mind shift in our staff. And then the relationships that have been nurtured and developed has been amazing. And we'll have a story at the end of one individual teacher that is pretty neat, we think.
Very neat. Yeah.
So how do we do this to make sure we address all this? So we start every year with goal setting. We get an accountability partner, we go through nutrition, and then we go through the whole physical training with our entire staff. So here's the 2023-2024 goals. So we came in at the beginning of the school year, first day of professional development, when all the staff gets together. Now we're a district of, we have 130 employees, so we try to all stay in there, but your paras aren't always at those meetings. Your cook staff isn't always at those meetings. Custodial, they're usually going back to work. So they're all invited to stay, but if they need things to do, we don't make them do all of this. We do make our staff do this, and we try to bring in as many paras and substitute teachers as possible. But again, we don't make them do it if they don't want to. But all of our teachers are there, and kind of our directors go through this as well. But we touch base on each of these. So goal setting, what we do ongoing. Personal growth happens when goals are set and met. So this is something we talk about, what a goal is and how to set these goals. I know Brian and I have very different practices of this. Mm-hmm. I think our view of it is the same, but it's very different practices on it.
Right. And we've gone through, we do a podcast together. We've had a whole podcast episode of just goal setting, how he looks at goals, how I look at goals. I look at goals as huge goals, right? Goals that it's 51% you can do it, 49% you can't. You should have that opportunity, in my mind, that it could be a failure, right? And that's where we learn. We grow through failure. We learn through things that don't go our way, right? And the goals that I like to set are huge, right? They're just huge, and then I'll set littler ones along the way. But I like goals that scare the shit out of me. Sorry.
What's your big one right now?
My big one right now is next year, April, May, and June, I will be doing 3 running races, and I'm not a runner. One is 50 miles, the next one's a marathon, and then I end with a 100-miler. So I like to do goals. I'm like, I'm not so sure about this one, and this could go really wrong, but I'm going to sure try. But I have a training plan. I've studied. I'm putting myself in a place where I think I'm going to be successful, and if I'm not, we go back to the drawing board and we try it again. But I like things that are scary, right? But I have you as an accountability partner.
Right.
You ask me all the time, how are things going? Well, I've got a little this, a little that, but we're working through it, right? But I think goals need to be written down. They need to be objective. They need to be something that I can track, right? Not always, not in your mind.
No.
And you've actually sold me a lot on this, and we've had this discussion a lot where I'm like, I see where you're coming from. It's not how I do it, but I see it.
But
right?
it really turns out, so what we do, and Brian does this, he just doesn't know it, is he gains momentum every day. So we talk about, so here's kind of what we're doing, and it's great to see this. What I do every day is when I wake up in the morning, I'll set 3 goals for the day. One of them was not to suck at this today. It was my main goal right away, is just go in there and don't suck.
Oh,
I don't know, we suck it maybe a little bit.
Oh,
thanks, Jay. But we're not here. Perfect timing. So, but I set 3 every day, and then at night when I go to bed, is I revisit those 3 in my head. did I accomplish it? Did I not? If I'm 2 for 3, all right, tomorrow one's going to be there again, and then we're gonna address the other two. Two might be different, or I need to get better at those so they'll stay the same. And one of the things we have right now in our elementary, which is very cool, they just took this on this year. They loved that we've been doing this practice, but they wanted to do it as an admin team in the elementary school. So what they're doing is they have their Power 5 is every day. So, and they got the 5 F's, and not the naughty F, but it's finance, family, fitness. I don't remember the other two.
Gosh, they start with F.
They start with F. But we went through that the other day with them. But they're doing that every day, and they talk about them every morning. They have a quick meeting before they get out and go. So it's really neat to see what's going on, and it's kind of catching like wildfire throughout the district. Brian says he doesn't do this, but when he starts training for that 100, he doesn't go out and run 100 miles. He wakes up in the morning. He's like, all right, this week I've got to get 10 miles in, right? So that's small. Then the next week he's got to get 12. And then he's got a 26 week, just whatever that may be. So those small goals are adding up as he's going. So
yeah. But and what's cool about these goals, right? When we have a goal, when we set a goal of something for us, I think something important also is letting somebody know that goal, right? It's easy to have these goals inside, but I think when we truly commit to that goal is when we let it out, and you can have that accountability partner saying, hey, remember when you were going to say you were going to start eating healthy this week? How's that going? You're like, I knew I shouldn't have told him. Not well, okay, but I'll start tonight. So I think it's important to share that goal. That's why you have that accountability partner. And Trent's been my accountability partner now for 10, 11 years. Yeah. So, and I think it's important to find that accountability partner of somebody that you kind of want to emulate, right? You know, rising tides raise all ships. We've all heard that before. You're the sum of the 5 people that you hang out the most. Well, you want to obviously make those 5 people pretty darn good. Where now accountability partner, you want to find somebody that you're like, man, I see what they're doing, and they're on the right track. I want to be on that track with them, right? So you don't always want to be the smartest in the room. You know, I never am. That's never something. But if you're the smartest person in the room, you're not growing. So get an accountability partner that you're like, that person's going places. They're doing the right things. Their goals are awesome. So put yourself with that kind of person.
So we really try to find that trusted confidant. And I said, we have each other, which is great with our staff. So this picture is our morning club. These people are in the gym every single morning before 5 o'clock in the morning. They are there. It's great. So they share those goals together. They have that collegial interaction. Actually, these two on the bottom right here, those two are our best friends, and they're both very young teachers in their first 3 years, and they came to us as a tandem, which is great, but they have been so awesome at this. They actually talked us in one of those marathons. He's going to do the 26, and they talked me into it as well to do it with them.
Yeah.
So not only are they each other's, I mean, they're starting to push other people to come with them and do different things. So what we'll do is we will do this on the first day. You find your accountability buddy, and then what you're going to do is you're going to share with that person what your major goals are, and we make sure it's about kind of like your work goal, again, your spiritual goal. And if you don't want to share your spiritual goal with them, you don't have to. It's nothing like that. But we do try to share our work goals and our fitness goals for sure. But there might be things that you want to be held private, which is okay. And stuff. Some staff members do that, but for the most part, they all share. And then what we'll do is we'll revisit these goals quarterly. And one of the things that we've heard from staff is they want to do that even more. And that's why the admin team has gone to that every single day. They sit down and they talk about it real quick. So it takes about 5 minutes. They talk about it, and then they go on with their day. But it's something that's really starting to gain momentum. And then your physical, again, these guys show up. So Brian's got a good story with one of them. They push one another to be consistent with their nutrition and training. And again, these people are always calling me, talking to me. They catch me in the morning. I get there at 5:30, and we have a 0 hour with kids as soon as these guys leave. So we'll get it depends on the day, but we've had as many as 30 kids in the gym with us, or the other day we had 3. So it just kind of depends on the day what's going on.
And accountability with these guys is huge. Like it's always easier to get up at that time of morning when you know somebody's counting on you to be there. One of these ladies had a flight at like 9 a.m. that morning She helped coach volleyball, but she had a flight going out of town at 9 a.m. And one of her colleagues from the morning class texted her and said, "Hey, we missed you at 5. Kind of, what's your excuse?" And she was laughing. She was able to text back, and she said, "Well, I was in there at 2:30 this morning because I have a flight at 9. What's your excuse?" So it was really kind of cool that they are that accountable and competitive, but it's a friendly, competitive kind of nature, especially when we have this crew that's there at 5 a.m., but we also have a crew that's there in the afternoon, right? And they kind of have this little competition as far as who's showing up, how many are showing up. Right, yeah. It's pretty cool.
It's getting pretty fiery. It's awesome to see how they go at each other. And then what we'll do is we help them all with food, with the proper nutrition. So we talk about their macronutrients. We've got a 28-day menu that we give them, and then we allow them to kind of spread out on their own. And they don't have to take this. It's just something that we have for them, ready for them if they want to kind of learn how to eat properly. And then we have weekly workouts. So we send out 5-day detailed workouts. We have a body weight workout. We have a kind of a CrossFit workout. We have a just straight lifting weights workout. We have kind of a hybrid workout where you're doing a little bit of both. So it's really neat to see which kind of path the teachers go on. And when they get with their groups, so the morning group is more of the HIIT training, CrossFit type workouts. The afternoon session is straight weights. And so the competition going back and forth between them, and ooh, what do you guys get to eat? This is what we're eating. This is how it's going for us. So it's neat to see. And then again, with the benefits of physical, emotional, and then with the $500 off deductible.
And what's cool is we don't pigeonhole everybody into one way of training, because the best way to train, right, is to find your own way, what you like, because that's what you're mostly typical. You're going to stick with it. So, I owned a CrossFit gym for 8 years. I flew the CrossFit flag. I still do, but that's not how everybody needs to train, right? And we're going to have a 6th program coming out. If you guys are interested, let me know. I'll send it to you. It's the marathon one, because we have some people doing marathons, so we're putting together a marathon training. But nutrition's huge, right? It all starts in the kitchen. We can all work out however hard we want, but we're not gonna out fitness a bad diet. That's just not going to happen. So we start with what is called the carb cycling program, and Trent and I have done all these kind of lifestyle diets you can, because we're our best physician. So we try stuff on ourselves. We see how it works. I know it works for him. I know it works for me. But we start with this carb cycling program because you have to track your food. You have to track it, create some discipline, and create some commitment, right? And that's why we really like it, because people can kind of see how much, honestly, that they should be eating. Our biggest problem sometimes is people don't eat the right foods, yes, or they don't eat enough. It's a big thing, because I know a lot of our people come to us and are like, "Man, I have to eat so much." It's like, yeah, when you eat good food, it does take a lot to get those calories. So that's been one of our biggest things coming back to us, feedback-wise.
And it's a completely different mindset to do this. If you guys don't have it, download the MyFitnessPal app and get the free version. You just X out. They're going to try to charge you $9 a month, but don't do it. Just X out of it, and you can put it all in free, and it'll track your food for you, so you know what you're eating and what you're getting, how many carbohydrates, how many proteins, how many fats. And then so what it looks like. So the schedule, we have an AM and a PM grouping, and again, teachers can go in whenever they have planned whatever they need at their convenience. Competitions set up. Again, we've talked about that. Phases, how we start our staff off. We got week 1 through 4 is just the core principles. So it's body weight and all like core to extremity things. So they're not going in just cold turkey and just doing everything that they can. We want to make sure we don't get injury with them, and we want them to come back tomorrow and make sure they keep going.
It's basically setting them up to progress down the way, right? Everything starts with our core. We want, back injuries or a lack of core, things like that. So first 4 weeks, core. Yes, sir.
Stretching.
So yeah, we have like a hip mobility thing that we do at the beginning of classes. Well, not classes, they're on their own. We kind of start them out as classes, and then PVC warm-ups, band warm-ups, different things like that to get that stretching in. And then afterward, we actually have she used to be a physical trainer on staff, and so she'll come in and she'll teach everybody kind of good stretches to do for different. Yeah. So she's awesome to help us out. And then week 9 through 12, it's kind of choose your own adventure. And again, like Brian said, so he's going to start creating this marathon one for everybody that's going to be doing this as well. So our staff really has a diverse set of workouts that they can choose between. So kind of getting our staff ready for this, we talk about, again, what to plan for, the body weight, physical and mental toughness, because it does take physical and mental toughness to track your food. That first week as you're doing this, it's tough, and our teachers have to know that. You're going to want to quit right away. I think day 3, a lot of them talk about headaches, because it's just a change of food. Your body's kind of detoxing itself from all the crap that you've eaten. And and working out, just different things. And if they're not hydrating like they need to be, they're going to experience these things. So they talk them through them. But we also talk about what you're going to get on the outcome of this. So with the mood enhancing, clearer thinking, increased ability to handle physical and emotional stress, and then the relationships. I think that's the biggest thing that we've seen so far in our staff is the relationships.
Yeah, it builds a whole community through accountability, through going through this process together, right? It's nothing better than going in and like, oh, I'm gonna have to sweat. This is gonna be tiring. This is gonna be brutal. Oh, you're doing it too? Oh, this won't be so bad.
Right.
We can do this. Yeah.
Do it together.
You get that accountability buddy. You keep each other kind of accountable on nutrition and fitness. And another thing that we kind of glanced over is, hey man, what are you doing for yourself?
Right.
What are you doing to take your time for your self-care? Oh, I do 20 minutes of some breathing and some yoga in the morning or this or that. It's like, hey, that's a great idea. I might try that as well. So accountability on all parts, whether it be the intellectual growth, the emotional stress that we're trying to decrease, things like that.
And these people talk about their goals consistently is what we've gotten back. And so they've really become each other's accountability buddies. The whole group has. And then so we're going to go through kind of what we've seen in Wiggins the last 4 years since we've done this. So we didn't start off with this, but as of this year, we've got 61% of our teachers and support staff are active in this. So at least 3 days is what we call active. We have others that'll hit it a day here, a day there. But we have 61% as I surveyed it that we're doing. So 81 out of our 133 staff are currently involved in this. And we do have substitute teachers I didn't include in this. We have 2 long-term subs right now that have just jumped in with us, and they're excited, they're loving it because they saw what their team was doing in the classroom and they wanted to go with them. Teacher retention, so pre-implementation in 19 and 20, we lost 6 staff members. So that was that first year. We had 1 staff member that at semester, she couldn't take it. She was, not a semester, sorry, that was that first 1920, 2021. We had 1 that couldn't take the whole COVID shutdowns, what we've done with how we were doing things in Wiggins. She got really upset at a teacher because he had COVID. He came to work. He didn't know he had COVID. He was just sick, and we had to send home 130 kids because he had contact with that many kids that day. So after that, she lost it, and we lost her. So we did see some staff members during those years. Again, that whole stress that the staff took on. But we knew that year that a change had to be made, and we had to focus on the staff. She kind of brought that to light. We were not focusing on staff at all. We were focusing on the students. We were focusing on everything other than our staff's physical and mental wellness. We weren't doing a good job. So in 21, 22, that's where we really started talking about implementing this and making sure that staff focused on their health, their wellness. And what we've seen is a reduction in staff loss. So that first year we did lose 4 staff members. One of them, he did not want to leave, but he went back to the Western Slope. His wife got pregnant, and they wanted to get closer to family. So they ended up moving. And then the other 3, we lost 1 for retirement, and then somebody else just took a job closer on the Front Range, more money. That kind of happens in Wiggins a lot. That's kind of what we see is people will stay in Wiggins for 2-3 years, and then it's off to the Front Range because we're so close. And so this is kind of what we're really trying to keep our staff members. We had 22, 23, we lost 3 staff members. And as we did our exit interviews, so I asked all 3 of them, why are you leaving? What's going on? What, if anything, would make you stay? And this program that we're doing was what all 3 of them said. The one just said, I'm just retiring, I'm done. It's been great. You need me? Maybe I'll come back and do a long-term sub or things like that, which she is. We do have her on staff. She is subbing. But she was just, it was time for retirement. And the other two, they left. They had a baby. They wanted to have another, and they couldn't afford the daycare. Again, that salary to salary, or paycheck to paycheck, they were living in that, and so they were able to go back to Eads, and he's working on the farm with his father. So, but they loved the program. They took advantage of it every day. He was a pretty big kid. We flat out get after it. But so they were. That's how we lost that family. And then this year, we kind of had a backfire because we've really been preaching be selfless, or selfish to be selfless. And at the end of the first quarter, we had a teacher that was diagnosed with it's not a huge concern, but enough of a concern for her. So she said, you've been preaching that I have to take care of myself, and she said I have to take care of myself. And so she resigned at the end of the first quarter. So that kind of hurt. However, it was one of those things of good for you. We're happy for her. It did put us in a bad spot, but it was nothing that we held against her. We've asked her if she wanted to come back and do some subbing. She's more than welcome. If she wanted to come back in and be a para, she's more than welcome. We'd love to have her, and she's just not ready for that yet. But I think second semester she might come back and help with some subbing as we go. And then one came back. So Megan, one of the ones that was on the screen there before, she left actually. She came to Wiggins 3 years ago. We just started this. She loved it. She loved everything about it, but she got married and moved to Windsor. So she was teaching in Windsor. She taught for a year. Halfway through, she told her husband that if we don't go back to Wiggins, I'm quitting teaching. I'm out. I'm not going to do it anymore. I don't like it. It's not for me. So she actually came back. They bought a house in Wiggins. He's working at the Bank of Colorado in Fort Morgan. And it was basically due to this program that we have. She just said she didn't feel like where she was at just wasn't the community that we had in Wiggins. So her story really that's where we kind of started talking like, man, we need to get this out to people to know what this is doing for staff and how much that they appreciate it and how active they are in this. So she's all pretty cool. And then we've seen such a different, our parents, they all want to be teachers now. We didn't have that before. But now they want to be part of this. They're in the gym. They're doing things, and they're all starting to go through teacher induction programs. So they're really wanting to be a part of the community that we're developing. So just the culture shift has been amazing. Insurance incentives. Jake was supposed to be here, but he didn't show up. So, and he's not from State Farm. But
what he is wearing.
He does have khakis on most days. And he's a big workout guy as well. So we just had a meeting actually 2 days ago. But what we have right now is lower deductible on participation 3 days a week. And we just track that internally. We know, we kind of trust our staff. They're showing their steps, those type of things. Or if they're in the gym, we have the sheet, they sign up, and so we can track it that way. And then what we're doing is giving them back those $500 deductibles right now. We did talk about shifting that, making those changes I talked about before. And one of the cool things is they're going to develop an app for us. It'll be launched on March 1st. So it'll have all the programs that we send out to our staff. It'll have on there nutrition. It'll have the menu. It'll have all the challenges that we want to do. And so we're really looking forward to that right now. And our staff when they heard about that, they're like, oh, this is going to be great. Just everything's going to be on your phone. It'll sync right to your device. So if you have an Apple Watch, everything will sync right to it, and we won't have to track anything anymore through spreadsheets or.
And they won't have to track emails, seeing what's programmed where, programmed what. They'll just be able to go on that app, bring up every program we have, and decide from there where they want to go. It's really going to be a game changer for us.
It really is. Yeah. And then students, it's so the students at the beginning of this were a little upset because they get to come in after school and work out. We'd have teachers in there helping, or myself, or we have for 0 hour, but we kicked them out right away. And we're like, guys, the teachers need 45 minutes on their own, and just to have that time. But Tommy was one of them. Like, man, she's in a way better mood than she's ever been in. So he goes, keep going. He was one of the main ones that was so mad at us because we wouldn't let him in the gym to lift. But they'd wait around, and then they'd come in afterward, and then after, like, keep doing it. It's good. We'll wait 45 minutes. It's all right, because what they've done in the classroom has been amazing. And then my daughter, she talks about one of our teachers. He's 6'5". He looks like a Viking. He's got his head shaved here, and he's got the hair. And she's like, that guy, all he does is eat. That's all he does every day, because he's learned how to eat right, the nutrition piece of it. She's like, he's always telling us we got to eat our protein, eat your protein. And if we have a bag of chips, that's not a good carb. Get rid of that. You get that gone. Here, I got some rice cakes for you. Eat that instead. And then Hunter's in there every morning. He's in there consistently at 5:45, stretching, getting ready for 0 hour. And so he sees that group in the morning. You old people are nuts. This is crazy what you guys are doing in here. Because they're running, doing pull-ups, doing hang cleans, then they go run again, then they do a burpee over a box, and then it's crazy, but it's so fun to watch what they've done. And then now we are letting the students come in after school a little bit with the teachers. Teachers are like, it's okay, yeah, bring them in. And the relationships that are going on there is pretty neat to see the interaction between the kids and the teachers after school as well. So it makes me really happy of what's gone on. And I know as I've done our end of year exit interviews and mid-year reviews, I started my mid-year reviews this year. And one of the things that I'm hearing is they want to do more of the goal setting and make that a bigger piece. But they're loving the workouts. They're loving all the things that we're doing. And just not one has said that, like I do that whole thing of what's the one thing that's going to bring you back next year? And they all say this. That's what's going on. So they're loving the community. They love what's going on. And when I tell them about the insurance piece of that, then that makes them even more excited that, oh yeah, we might be able to get you Fitbits or Apple Watches if we don't do this. It's one of the things we're talking about instead of the $500 deductible, or maybe a pair of shoes if you're running so many miles, all those type of things. And so it's really starting to morph even more than what we had planned on.
Yeah, super cool.
So yeah, questions?
Man. Back here.
Yes.
How about way in the back?
Hey, what are you doing? I thought you were supposed to be retired. Congratulations. For this, so with the deductible, right now it's only going to cost the district $4,000. That's the only thing it is, because we've built up our funds with our insurance. So yes, that's it. The rest of it is free. The gym is free because it's our gym. It's the school's. The programming is free because Brian and I create it and we give it to them. So it's not costing the district anything except for the $4,000 right now of that with the $500 deductible. That's all it did last year. If more people take advantage of the deductible and use it, then it might be more. With this app, the app's going to cost us $5,700 to develop, to create, again, taking it out of the insurance piece. So really nothing from the district at all.
And what's really cool about...
Well, thank you.
What's really cool also that he's done with the actual gym itself is there's not a lot of options where we're from in Morgan County. So they have opened the gym during non-school hours, off school hours, for community members to buy a membership. What's cool with that is then the community members buy the membership. All the membership money from that is put back into the gym. So over the years, it's just grown equipment-wise, grown with what we've been able to do. So it's constantly putting back into itself, and I think that's one of the coolest things too, is because not only do we have all this teacher retention and teacher participation, but the gym that they have is pretty much for out there unparalleled.
Shoot.
So it's pretty cool.
You don't get a lot from this picture, but that shows you we have a couple of treadmills, we have 3 rowers, we have a ski erg, and then we have a big pull-up rack in the middle, and then we have other racks on the outside, leg press, all that sort of thing. We have a track above our gym, so they'll go up there and run around the track. So all those type of things just to make it easy.
It's really cool.
Your mention of the doctor, the intelligent.
Yes.
But very intelligent, intellectually, but emotionally lacking. So just want to mention we brought in the program of Emergenics. I don't know if you've heard of the word stuff, but it's a full day staff session. We participated also as a school board, and it just brings up what kind of personality, what kind of person you are, personality, your thought process, and that kind of thing. It's been great. It brings that level of respect that my way of thinking may not be your way of thinking.
Right.
And it creates this two-way street of communication. So I wanted to mention Emergenics is the name of that program. And then how did this whole thing get started? Was it you or did the school board? How did the process?
The process was just, we saw what happened during COVID, right? And I just saw the stress in our teachers. When we came back from that shutdown and started back up, the questions and the concern in our staff was something that I'd never witnessed or had part of before. So I tackled it the best way that I knew how. And the things that I did through COVID was work out. And, I tried to stay away from the news as much as possible. We talked about that because the news is such a drain, right? And all of that time. So we really tried to focus on reframing. Let's stay away from the news. Let's stay away from those things. And let's rely on each other. Let's lean on each other. And kind of the whole physical wellness piece was something that I was good at, though. So that's what I could give back to the staff. And then Brian and I talking about it, he said the same thing was going on at the fire department. So that's where we really started coming together and like, hey, let's work on this together and let's really help both fire department and our staff.
And when we were doing that Facebook Live,
Yeah.
we jump on and do a class basically with people wherever they were, and we saw that faculty from the school district was jumping on.
Right.
We thought, well, this is their way of dealing with it right now. Let's open it up to everybody, and then let's create our programming, create this and that, and hand it out. And that's when we saw more and more and more as the years went on, until it became the program it is today. I commend him for implementing it and just having that open frame of mind that we kind of had. And we were like, well, this is what we do at the fire department. It's really been working. We work out at the same time we eat, this and that, and it's formed this bond. He's like, I think we can take that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, let's try it.
That's great.
Thank you.
Did we have a question back here? Yes.
Okay, so again, leadership, relationships, it sounds like it's your philosophical lens that has led a lot of this. I'm wondering what the pathways that you either requested that your board supports, right? So if you are trying to initiate wellness in your own district, what does it look like from the board's purview, right, to start with some of this if you do not have somebody with your experience, direct connection? So again, we're hearing what you've been able to do. That's from your own passion lens,
right.
Research supports. So if we're still talking about wellness from a retention standpoint as a board member, what have you asked of your board, right? What type of openings or needs have you had?
So with the board, the first thing we had to do was go to them about the $500 deductible. So that was kind of the first thing. And as I mentioned before, we've got a great board. And like I said, the school board president won that first challenge, he and his wife, because we were like, hey, this is something we want to do. And we didn't ask them if we could do it. We just said, here's what we're going to do. Do you guys want to be part of it? I probably should have asked. But again, the board is so good. They were like, yeah, that's great. We want in as well. So I think the main thing is going to your board, talking about, hey, look, we need teacher retention is the biggest thing that we all are kind of going through in rural districts, at least. And here's a way to do this. Here's an avenue we can go down to do this. And what are your guys' thoughts behind it? Would you guys be on board? Our school board president now, our current one, he's involved in this. He's in the gym every day. He does it with us. He's a great steward of this for us. But again, I did not probably go down the proper channels, go through the school board on it.
And I think that's because you're the superintendent, right? But I guess being a past school board member, the way I could see it is you say, hey, teacher retention is a big deal. Teacher wellness and self-care is a big deal. We need to branch out and ask for help. And that's something you can reach out to us, DM us, email us, but there's things that could be of cost, right? You could need somebody to come in and program. You could need somebody to come in and teach nutrition classes. That would be the thing that you might have to sell your board on. But we were able to do that all for our school district without any cost. So I think that was the big thing. But there's resources out there that can come in and implement this whole thing for you. And that would be something that the board would have to be on board for. Board on board for?
Board on board.
Yeah.
And we all have the wellness policy. So I think we'd start there. Cortez is doing a great job with the wellness policy. Would you like to share kind of what you guys are doing?
We've just initiated this year with the help of our broker, our medical insurance broker. They were able to obtain a certain amount of money through our health insurance, $50,000 a year actually, for reimbursable funds that we can use for anything wellness. This was the first year that we've used it. We started with a wellness fair. We provided baseline everything for all employees who wanted to participate, from body mass index, bone density, all the blood work. We did blood draws, we did flu vaccines, skin tests, and then we partnered with our local businesses to participate and set up booths. Those who did have established a partnership with the school, with all of our staff, to offer discounted memberships or just discounts for any of the teachers or the district staff, like for the health food store, or we have, there were so many, I think there was like 26 different vendors that showed up, several of them being CrossFit gyms or local gyms. We had acupuncturists, we had massage therapists, we had dentists, anything that would be considered physical or mental well-being. And so we utilized part of the money to pay for all of that, so it was no cost to any of the staff. And then we had money left over that we needed to do for reimbursement this year, so we used that money and bought a bunch of passes for our local rec center. Our staff can go to the rec center for free of charge. But what you're doing is really incentivizing and bringing the staff together to want to do that, and that's the part that I really want to implement with our district. Like, we're just starting this now because we see, all of the issues that you brought up, the stress level, behaviors with students, that it's just so hard for the teachers. The amount of time that they spend, and I, as the executive director of human resources, I'm the one that they come to and complain that, I hear all of this, what they're wanting to do, and so I know that the wellness should be a high priority. It's just, how do you put all this together and how do you incentivize them? And so what we have is we've established funding, and we can work with our broker and our health insurance companies to initiate it. But what you're presenting is just, it's amazing. I want you to come down and set it up for us.
Absolutely, we'd love to.
Yeah.
And I definitely am going to make contact with you because of the whole wellness policy. That's something, my wife's the food service director, and that's something that we've talked about, is we really need to get this wellness policy going, and we could do some things there. So I have to pick your brain on that.
We established a wellness committee. We had our first meeting last month. Lisa Neagle, who was our executive director of social services,
My old neighbor.
she's also on our committee. And just, I think this month we're going to put together our vision, our mission statement, and really focus on what we want to do. And we want to continue on to move this. But the ideas that you're presenting here are fabulous. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much.
I'm going to take this back and use it.
One more?
Maybe one more.
One more, okay.
We have 10 minutes to get to our.
Oh, okay, sorry. We talk a lot.
So of the 39% that chose not to participate, have you surveyed them, or have they given you feedback as to why they chose not to? Is it an outside commitment thing? Is it, they've got 7 children at home? Is it that they're older, or they have physical handicaps that would prevent them from doing those activities, or something else?
I haven't. That is a great idea. But just knowing, like, the staff members who do and who don't, it does seem to be kind of our older population. Our maintenance staff, they're kind of older crew, but they work too. They're at 7 a.m, and then they're there till 5 at night, 4:35, and then game duty, all those type of things. So I think it kind of gets in the way for them. We have talked about allowing them to go in, like, during the day. If they don't have much to do, go in, try to get something in. And you know how old men are, right? Oh, I get enough going on outside anyway. I'm active all day long, those type of things. But no, I haven't. But I will definitely take that back and survey that to kind of see what's keeping them from. and then trying to figure out a way that allows them to get in there. So thank you for bringing that up. That's a good idea.
Let's give a round of applause for our speakers.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you all for coming. We thought maybe we'd have like one, and then we had two, and then we had 3, 4, 5. Hey, this is okay. Oh yeah.
We're like, this room is way too big.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate it. I just want to say thank you also. I'm super excited about the County School District, also a volleyball official, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a good.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I saw you play a little bit.
Oh, did you? Very cool.
Yeah, I was in R1 last year at the final, so.
Yeah.
Thank you so
much.
That is true, particularly his office.
I just want to, if you'd like, we would, behind the scenes, we will teach for America how great a program this is. So, very much Philip and Lake City, Colorado, and stuff like that. So, the school board members.
How are you?
Good.
I
know.
See you,
yeah.
We've already done something. We were really, this session started to expand it.
Okay. All right. How are you? I'm good.
And I heard him say, okay,
No problem. Thank you. Have a great day. Still Catholic? Still Catholic.
Oh, American Catholic.
We're not as well as we should right now. But it's, we still identify.
Full Catholic mass.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife and I suffered through that hour and a half.
Email me. Were you reading the other contacts?
Yeah.
Yeah. Email me. Do the ceremony. Something about it. Yes.
And he said, Philip, you married Marilyn, twin sister.
So I'm married to both. Thank you again. I'll
Thank
be in
you.
touch. I'll drop you a line.
Hello.
Good to see you. Good.
Looks like you're doing great.
Hang in there, yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yes.
Originally, I was still was down. That's what I was going. I was there for a year. The district.
Yeah, we just want to make a great reputation. And obviously, more directors kind of change and bring more of that kind of stuff in. That's all. That's cool.
Still organized.
Yeah, that's
I think we're
super.
part of that.
Yeah, that's big. And then it'll give you hours of time. Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, let's pick back up.
Hello, lady.
How are you?
Thanks for presenting.